Good morning, or at least it's morning for me. A couple of things to start with. Housekeeping. Obviously we've recently got the Cardo Packtalk, and I'm still sort of playing around with the settings to try and get the audio quality its best, so I've adjusted some background ratio or whatever it is. So this video is a test to compare it to the last one, and we'll just basically keep working from there until we find something that we think is the best. Secondly, want to get this out of the way with, judging by the title of this video, if anyone's worried about Noxie, she's fine, and this is an old accident. I've just not talked about it yet. A couple of reasons, which I'll get into. Oh, yeah, and the other one, it's pretty miserable today. When it's wet like this and when there's loads of road spray, the camera obviously gets covered in water. So we've got this angle going, so that obviously if the front camera gets covered with water, at least we've still got the back one. And some people ask me what camera it is. It's the GoPro Max 360. So it's one camera just with two lenses on it. How do I start this? I've been thinking about this for ages. Why is my sun visor down again? Here we go. I'm thinking about how to talk about this. This was back in January, because this was before Katie had passed her test. And I know it because one of the reasons why, maybe why it happened, I don't know, is because I was out riding Katie's bike early that morning. We needed to move it, I can't remember where. And as we said in the comparison between these two bikes, that video, they're very, very similar bikes. One of the main differences is the clutch point, the bike point. So anyway, I was out, I'd ridden Katie's bike somewhere, and then I was off on my usual route to work on my bike, which we're taking this exact route today. And I got to a roundabout, which we'll get to in a minute, and those who live near me will probably know this roundabout and go, yeah, it's a bit of a dodgy one. There are quite a few dodgy roundabouts around here, to be fair, but at this particular roundabout, I came up to it, I was turning right, and as I was going round, just as I almost reached my exit, as I was passing the exit before mine, a car pulled out in front of me. And my instinct was to emergency brake, obviously being on a roundabout and still leaning, and then using my front brake to press hard. I obviously upset the balance of the bike, so it stopped, and it was at such a lean where, again, Katie talked about this when she dropped her bike for the first time a couple of days ago. It gets to a point where you know it's going, and you can't stop it, and you're just there, and it's like in slow motion when the bike falls. And that was it. That is a very undramatic accident. Car pulled out. I dropped bike, and I do have a video of this, so I will play it. In fact, I'll play it now. I'll give you a time to pause. Sorry that it's in portrait, it was just something I got off my phone from the GoPro app, but there's the video, that's all that happened. And I can't remember how much of the video, how much of it I got, but after the bike dropped, I immediately got some help, which was really nice. Several car drivers stopped, including a bike instructor who was a car or two behind me on the roundabout, and the first thing he said to me is, "Don't worry, I see it all the time, you couldn't have done anything." Which sort of made me feel better, because I second guess myself a lot. Okay, sorry, pause. The weather said it wasn't going to be raining. It lied. Oh no. Well, I've made my choice now. I had the car option as well, and I thought, no, it's going to be clear. Not nice weather, but it's going to be clear. I'll take the bike and I'll talk about this. That it's raining. Anyway, enough of that. Lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, so some people helped me lift the bike instructor being one of them, and for a few minutes we thought the car driver had ran. He'd either not seen what he'd done, or he'd seen and decided to go. But actually they came back, and he was very apologetic. And the first words out of his mouth, and I'm sure a lot of other bikers will know exactly what he's about to say, was, "Sorry, I didn't see you." And okay, you look at it from 2 points of view, right? I'm a car driver and a bike rider, and I know, in fact, I'm more aware of it now. I know the big blind spots cars have. You know those beams down the side of the windscreen? They're huge. The blind spot is huge. However, upon looking back at the video, whether I didn't catch when he looked or not, but from the video that I got, he didn't look. He followed the roundabout. I should probably focus. Yeah, thanks, mate. Not quite as bad. There's the roundabout. That's the roundabout I'm on about. And that's the route I took. That's the turn I took. Hilariously, that's a similar situation. In fact, it wasn't quite as close, obviously. I had no need to slow or anything. I was going very slowly around that roundabout, especially as it's wet. But again, I looked at that driver just now. They didn't look, or they didn't look at me. They just looked straight ahead. And I think if you're local to here, you know the problems with that roundabout. Obviously, you've got the A6 going directly across, and it tends to be that the drivers either coming down or up that road, they just go, and they don't sometimes look at the left and the right, which are also on that roundabout. So anyway, he said, "Sorry, I didn't see you." He checked to make sure I was alright. The riding instructor was checking over my bike for me, really grateful and incredibly lucky that he was there. Obviously, I was a bit shaken up. This was less than 2 months after I'd passed my test. He checked over the bike, everything was working fine. I mean, because it was a drop. We didn't collide. Obviously, the car caused the emergency brake, but it was a single person event. You know, I was the one that dropped the bike and there was no one else involved. One thing I do want to say is in that video, you will see the bike land on my boot. And that is the reason why I will never wear boots shorter than the ones I'm wearing. That boot probably saved me from a very nasty bruise, because the bike landed on it and I got trapped, my foot got trapped underneath, but the armour took all of the damage. I did not feel a thing. I came away completely unscathed, just a bit shaken up, because my boot caught my bike. So it's something to consider when you're looking at footwear. I remember I dropped my 125, just doing a U-turn or something. And I had shorter boots on, and I came away with a massive golf ball sized lump on my shin and had shin splints for a month because I just dropped my bike on my leg. It wasn't even crazy. I didn't get trapped underneath it. It just banged my leg on its way down. Comparing those two events, you know, dropping a 100-kilo bike to dropping a 170-kilo bike, and the lighter bike caused more damage because of the boots I was wearing. There's a reason why I'm wearing these. That's all I'm saying. We can go into more depth about gear later on, but now, it's ready. It's sunny now. Yay! This is what the weather said it was going to be like. Okay. I had points laid out, and I had an order. She gave me a nod. I love it. I had an order of things I was going to say, and I've completely messed it up. One thing I wanted to say is the reason why I haven't posted this until now. Because, let's be honest, we work in social media, and what's going to get views? An accident. Or a near accident, or a near miss, whatever you want to call it. It's going to get views, isn't it? If I posted that video on TikTok, it probably would have. And I've posted a video previously of, again, not an accident, just someone swerving into a lane on a roundabout when they shouldn't have done. 100,000 views on Instagram. And to be honest, the reaction to that video more solidified my reasoning for why I wouldn't post it on the short form content platforms anyway. The reason why I'm posting it here is because I can accompany it with an explanation. Bloody hell. Okay, we're going down the speed bump route because I don't want to have to deal with that industrial estate again. Stay there, thank you. Yeah, I can accompany this with an explanation, and also YouTube comments are absolutely lovely. The little community we built already so far, I absolutely love it. I'm really appreciative of all the comments and like just the general kindness of everyone who's watching our videos. It's really, really nice. Whereas if you get a viral video on Instagram or TikTok, your general audience will be as nice as they always are. You'll also get the people that don't know you, that don't know anything about you, and just see the video with no context, and will start giving advice that you don't need, or leaving comments that you don't want. If I'd had that same situation now, potentially I would have dealt with it differently. Oh my god, I hate this road. I hate this road. It's these paved bits, the bits they redo, why are they so bumpy? Like even that roundabout today. I acted differently then than I would have done a few months ago when I was less experienced. Maybe that driver that pulled out, again, it wasn't as close as the time when I did drop my bike, but maybe I would have had a panic reaction. I had nothing. I just kept it slow. I knew they were going to move, and I just rolled forwards. The thing is with these accidents is you can look back, and I don't look at that video a lot, to be fair, and it's going to be not a challenge to put it in the video, but I don't like seeing myself drop my bike on the middle of a roundabout, you know? It's not something I want to watch. But in the time after that accident, I looked back at that video and I thought, did I do something wrong? And obviously I had that bike instructor said, no, you didn't. And my dad and my brother, who both ride bikes, and for a lot longer than I have, they said, no, there's nothing you could have done. In fact, you had the best case scenario where you stayed standing. You had to drop the bike, but you stayed standing and there was minimal damage. And the people stopped and they apologised and they paid for the broken brake lever, which was the only damage. Everything was fine. But obviously as a new rider, when you're shaken up, you already struggle with anxiety. You see the video of you making a mistake that resulted in you dropping your bike on a main roundabout. And you think, what could I have done differently? What did I do wrong? And the truth is nothing, because in those moments when you have an accident or you have a near miss, you don't use all of your skill. You use your base level of skill, which at that point, as a new rider, isn't very high. The instinct was still grab the front brake, emergency stop, because when you're learning to do your emergency stop for your mod 1, it's front brake because you're braking in a straight line. So what I'm trying to say is, when you have those moments, as much as you can prepare for them, and you can improve your base level of skill so that your reaction would be better, in the actual moment, your brain doesn't process things as well as you want to. So I remember, before I watched that video back, I remember going around that roundabout and a grey van cutting me off. That's what made me stop. My brain saw a grey, high-walled van, like a transit van, no windows, dark grey, passing very close to me. I looked back on the video, it's a car with windows. Grey, but a car. Smaller than I thought. My brain didn't see that. I think that's the best explanation I can give you as to what happens in those near misses. Your brain short circuits and you rely on instincts, and whatever your instincts are what you'll use. And my instincts obviously at that point were front brake, stop, get out of the way. So again, the reason why I'm putting this on YouTube is because someone did ask on Instagram. They said, have you had any accidents? And I said, yeah. I'm not going to lie about it. I said, yeah, I've had one incident where someone cut me off on a roundabout and I dropped the bike. Everyone was friendly, matters were solved, minimal damage, everything's fine. But they said they'd appreciate like a bit of a talk through, you know, because when you're learning to ride a bike, you see something like this and it might put you off, and I totally get it. So I thought I'd talk through this, and I thought I'd explain why things happened the way they happened, because it's not something I'm really scared of, you know. That roundabout, for the first few weeks after that, I didn't do that right turn. I went straight ahead, then I went a different route. But I know my skills have increased because I've practiced and I've been consistent, and so I now feel confident going around that roundabout again, even when it's a bit busy. So I started going around that again when it was quiet and there was no one coming my way, because I knew no one would cut me off. And then eventually I got to the point where I could go round it no matter what time of day. And that's only recent. As I said, I can be quite an anxious rider, and sometimes you overthink things. And the second I got to that roundabout and I started overthinking, I just went straight. I didn't try and push myself if I was just going to act out of anxiety rather than skill. Until I got to the point where I thought, I'm going to need to push myself, and I'm not going to be too nervous about it to make some wrong mistakes, if that makes sense. I never got round to explaining why riding Katie's bike made a difference. But if you listen in that video, I don't know how well the mic picked it up. As I got to the roundabout, I think I was in first or second. No, I was in first, and I clicked up to second to go round. But because I was used to riding Katie's bike that morning, I didn't let the clutch out enough. So not having the power I expected going in second threw me off a bit. I recovered it, and I would have gone round the roundabout fine had the power not been there. But it took a little bit of my attention away from what was going on. And perhaps that also contributed. Maybe if my gear change had been smooth and my power output had been what I'd expected, it would have had a different reaction. To be honest, I really don't think I would have, because at the end of the day I still needed to stop quickly. Obviously in a video like that, with its 360 mode, the car can look quite far away, but when you look at the video back and you see how far past that second exit I was, you notice that there was maybe a meter between me and the car, which I saw as a fan, as I said. I think that's all the points I want to make. The only other thing I'd say is, obviously I appreciate comments, and I understand more experienced riders will give me advice, and I'm grateful for that. But it happened 4 months ago. I've thought about it enough myself. So if you have any general advice, I'm happy to hear it. But specific advice for that specific situation, I don't know whether it'd be valuable anymore. This Range Rover can get off my arse. Anyway, it's another reason why obviously I didn't post it anywhere else. Because it's very easy for someone who doesn't know me, who doesn't know my riding experience, who doesn't know any context about that, obviously about was me using a different bike that morning and having that second gear problem. It can be very easy to say, oh, you should have seen that, you should have stopped earlier, that sort of thing. I know. I know those comments already. I've told them to myself already. And again, it's like I appreciate comments that are going to help. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to... Yeah, that's it. That's the end of the video. I might make a part 2 if I've realised I've forgotten some stuff, or I might talk about more. No, I won't know until I've edited it back. So, yeah, anyway. I need to go. Thanks for watching. And subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.